in the task at hand, we need to filter some logs where the user ID field is not populated. So the simplest way would be to, again, filter equals where. So we do where, and there is a function called isnotempty, right? We'll talk about isnotnull later. And then we put user ID, and we're going to project that. Okay, I'm oversimplifying things here, but this is the part that is important to learn how to use the isnotempty function. But notice that in some cases we get this 0. Now, if we try to do, well, let me actually put an and user ID is different than 0. We run this and get an error. Why? Well, could it be that user ID is not a scalar, is not a number? How do we find that out? Well, we can use the get schema, and I did a separate video about it, get schema function, to tell us the only thing that we have filtered here is user ID. So it should give us information about what's the nature of user ID. And notice there is a string. Oh, that's a problem. Now all we need to do here is put the and condition to get rid of those zeros, and user ID is different than the string 0. If we run it now, we're going to see that we have accomplished what we wanted, and there's not going to be any user IDs which has zeros in it, right? Now, what about isnotnull? So, isnotnull is for scalars, not for strings and other things, and or logical functions. So if we put here isnotnull and we put user ID, it's not going to give us an error, but it's not going to, actually I should put isnotnull, because all the fields contains data, even though that data is actually empty. If we run the query again with isnotnull, notice that we get, all the strings, but also we get those dashes, which is not what we actually want. Where can we use isnotnull? With scalar, with integers. So if we do, for example, let's use severity as an example. And we want to see the nature of severity, we do as we did before. Let's pipe it and do the get schema. And we'll see, I just did it before, notice that it's an integer. Ah, okay, so now I can, if I'm looking for logs that do not have the severity empty, I can easily put a where, begin to do the filtering. Let me put a space here, where is not null, and now I can put here severity. Get an extra parenthesis here. If we run this one, we're going to get logs that where this field is not empty. Again, is null and is not null is for integer, and is not null is not empty is where the logs contains any kind of data. So I hope that this explains where to use is not empty and is not null.